themselves, and quite a few of them ended up with frontotemporal dementia in the end. And frontotemporal is a complete reversal of the personality, because that's where all your fight or flight stuff is. It's all your decision making, your processing's at the front of your brain. So with things like frontotemporal, you'll find complete personality reversal. So someone who was quite introverted, say, and didn't really, quite insular, will suddenly become an extrovert. I know on the Dementia Leads course, they always go about the guy who had the railway guy who had the spike go through him, and anybody who knew him after that always said it was like dealing with a completely different human being. He went from being an introvert who was happily married to being an extrovert who became a womanizer and a gambler. I think he died an alcoholic. So, and that language changed, and that was one of the first recorded cases of frontotemporal dementia. So, if I can help you in any way with sort of like knowledge on this, because after seeing what I just saw then, I was mightily impressed with what you just put together. And that would very much, I think that would cover Alzheimer's and vascular experiences throughout the night. Very good indeed. Also with Lewy bodies, has anyone heard of Parkinson's disease? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, Parkinson's disease, the gait that you were doing with the shuffle, that's very prominent with people who've got Parkinson's disease. So if you were doing Lewy body, you tend to find one will appear first. So you'll either get the Parkinson's first, in which case it's Parkinson's with Lewy body, or if the Lewy body turns up first, then it's Lewy body with Parkinson's disease. But any background information you might want to know, please feel free to ask. But that was mightily impressive. Yeah, you really you got the confusion element spot on. You really did. I like the voices coming from the background, because again with Lewy body you do get auditory hallucinations as well. It's more common to be visual, but you do get auditory hallucinations with Lewy bodies as well.
What's the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia?
Dementia is just an umbrella term. So dementia is a series of about 300 different diseases. Mm-hmm. Alzheimer's is the major one of the lot.
Right.
I think that's about 60%, isn't it? If I remember right, 67%. It's quite high. It's the one you'll come across the most, and that affects the hippocampus in your brain. And so basically all your short-term memory, you can't make new memories. So what you'll find is someone with Alzheimer's might not be able to tell you what they did the other day or last week, but you ask them something from about 30 years ago, and the miniature of detail that you will get in that is nobody's business. I used to work with an old guy who built aeroplanes and taught people how to fly in the RAF, and he couldn't tell you what I had for his meal yesterday, but you ask him about the old Hurricanes, well, just strap yourself in and listen. It was an absolute adventure listening to him tell you how they were built and how he taught people how to fly. It really was. So there are some. It's a horrible disease, but there are some great stories that come out of it.
I think we were looking at the fact when we were talking about how it's going to end. We want it to be some sort of hope, some sort of end with hope.
And that's the sad thing about dementia, because there are no happy endings here.
We wanted it to be something so that at least people could take something away and make them think.
What I would probably
support them.
It's about support need, and maybe concentrate on the effect that the people who care, so the family, so maybe the hope that they get seeing their loved one taken care of and being able to understand it, because a lot of family members aren't prepared for dementia. They don't know anything about it. When it comes at first, you'll get things like, oh, they're just being silly, they're just playing up, oh, it's old age, which, Alzheimer's used to be called old-timers disease, but it's not limited to old age at all. I've dealt with a guy recently at the age of 40 who's got early onset Alzheimer's, and it's really beginning to show now. So it's not just the preserve of the old, I'm afraid.
And I think there's also something with people living with dementia and their carers. They often feel reluctant to go out into the community and society in general, and so that hope that actually you don't become isolated. Go out and go to the shops, go to the theatre. There is hope. Yes, it's a terminal condition, it's no cure, but you can be helped, supported to live well with the condition.
If you ever get a chance, get on the Hugger website over in Amsterdam. I went and paid it a visit about 2 years ago. If you want to see how you want to deal with old people who are at the end, getting to the end of their journey with Alzheimer's, and they have built this village where it is just a normal village, and people sort of like mingle around, and the staff are the shopkeepers of the people that serve them. It is fantastic, and it shows you what can be done with positive thinking regarding looking after people with dementia.
It's the enablement
Yeah.
for people,
Yeah,
not disabling them. I think that's key.
yeah, definitely.
So you had a few questions, didn't you, as a
Yeah.
group that you wanted to...
Where, I guess, is
Yeah.
where we
The
can
original
it, and then
concept was like the care or something like that.
I think you had six scenarios, I think we came up with originally, wasn't it? Yeah,
20 minutes.
yeah.
Because we were like that
Quite
piece there.
intense.
We video what we do each time.
Yeah.
That was briefly about 4 minutes. And obviously we've got 5 scenarios. So if we were to do 4 minutes per one, it'd be 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
and
think if it's a small audience who are going to go around and see
Yeah.
something
Yeah,
go, and we'd
because-
have to repeat it a few times, it would be quite shortish.
I think 20, yeah, because you don't want to, because I think if you overdo it, people do it. I think 20 minutes, if you covered the 4
Yeah.
main ones, and maybe look at different scenarios. So that was a great way of showing someone at night. It kind of, they don't like using the term sundowning anymore, do they? But people who are living with dementia, getting near the end of the day, you'll tend to find that's when the dementia, for some reason, tends to present itself more, whether it's due to the lack of light. No one's really sure. It used to be called sundowning, and a lot of people with dementia used to sort of like start what they call walking with a purpose, or as the staff at the time say, being obstructive, which wasn't quite the case. It's the dementia at work, and it's knowing about the dementia. And really, at Sherlock Holmes time, getting your thinking caps on and knowing a lot about the people who have the dementia, talking to their families, finding out about what their past jobs were. Looking up stuff like Kitwood wrote, I would have thought would be good as well. Kitwood picked up, he used to work in the old geriatric wards, which is where a lot of dementia patients used to end up back in the old days, sadly. And what he did say, well, no, this isn't good enough. We can't be treating people like cattle. People are people. So he picked up on five needs, basically, that encompass what made a human being. That was identity, meaningful occupation, comfort. I always forget the others. But it basically, all those things made up what you needed to be a human being. He focused on that. So maybe looking at bringing some of Kitwood's principles in, how that would affect maybe the person with dementia, the carers, that kind of thing. But from what I saw, that first bit there was absolutely brilliant. I can't fault it at all. I really can't.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't need more. I think
No.
in 4 minutes you
Yeah.
can get quite
Yeah.
clearly the message across, but also
Yeah.
just the generate conversation.
Yeah.
So I think the intent was just to do it in different times of the
Yeah.
day, maybe throughout
Yeah.
the day.
No, that would be an excellent way of going about it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, and they were talking about, I don't know if I want to talk for you, but they were talking about moving the walls around in between, so the audience almost have walls reforming around
Really
them. So,
immersive.
No, I
Yeah,
like
it's
what you
cool.
guys are
Yeah.
thinking. This is really
In terms
good.
of like
Yeah.
the style of physical theatre,
Yeah.
if we were to do all the other, say like 4 other bits
Yeah.
as the same as that, would that be all right?
Well, that hit the message home for me. That really did. Yeah, I think that would be clever. I mean, what I would be looking at is look at maybe telling it from the carer's perspective on the next one, and then maybe explore other forms of dementia.
Yeah.
But what you did there, that bit there was, yeah, you really are on the right tracks.
you look at
Definitely.
verbatim
Yeah.
Yeah.
performance as well, but maybe mix in styles a bit, so maybe some
Absolutely.
real life cases being using that in some
Yeah, we
way.
wanted to like interview
Spoken word.
like carers and people with dementia to try and get it as like real as possible, like verbatim.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's great going. Yeah, that absolutely. I'm trying to think. Gloucester Education Team might be a good one there.
Yeah.
Up at Cheltenham.
What's that?
Alzheimer's Society. You get the hollies.
Is that opposite GCHQ?
No, it's it's at the back of the hospital, isn't it? Trying to think what it's called now. I've been there enough times. Not Sanford House. It's
By the Bath Road?
yeah, I think it is. It's
Yeah.
it's off the back
Yeah, I
there.
know what you mean, yeah.
It's that the I'll have a word with Tina. I'm seeing Lauren today anyway
Mm-hmm.
from there, Lauren Mackay. So I'll have a word with her and link her in, because this could be because I know she'd be very interested in all of this. So and she could maybe get you those interviews that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be really cool actually. Yeah.
Right, leave that with me and I'll get back to you definitely. Like I said, I'm seeing one of the ladies from there on another project that we're doing, so I'll mention this. But yeah, I came here today when I walked through the door thinking, what am I going to say? And you really have impressed me with what you've done so far. So yeah, a bit blown away if I'm being honest. What was the thinking behind all that? Who came up with those ideas then?
All of us.
Yeah?
Like, what we do is we like play around, so we'll
Yeah.
have different ideas, play around with it, add it, and then we'll say, okay, that doesn't work, and then somebody else might have an idea. Like all of us come up
Well,
with
as a
that.
collective, you really are on
Yeah,
the
we
right
work really
tracks
well.
with this one, yeah. Well done.
Is there anything that you'd say don't touch upon that might be too, like, because we didn't want to, because it's obviously such an important subject, we didn't want to go
To be honest,
do
the
something
only
that
thing
would be
that people
upsetting.
get upset with is terminology, isn't it?
Yeah.
That seems to be the thing. That's why I wouldn't use the word sundown, and it's what everybody in the industry knows it as, but they've changed some of the wording recently. Like people, like you were doing earlier when you were wandering around, we used to call that wandering. Now it's called walking with a purpose, because you're not wandering. The person living with dementia knows what they're doing. It's just that you don't. So in there, I'll give you an example. There was a guy, and this might help you later on. There was a guy used to live at Brambles, and at 6 o'clock every night he would leave the house, and they would always find him around Magdala Road, that area. Do you know where the Great Western Road is, where the hospital is? You know, the little train things around. He used to always be up around there. And people would go up to him, oh, you need to come back to... And he'd get quite aggressive at that point. And they couldn't work out why he kept doing this every Monday to Friday. And when they spoke to his son, it turned out he was the local bobby for that beat. So at 6 o'clock every night, he was going out on his beat. So if someone came up to him and went, oh, what are you doing? In his head, he's still a police officer. So why would you come up and grab a police officer and be telling him to come back? So that is walking with a purpose. He was doing his beat in his head. But in the reality, it was someone who had dementia, who'd left a care home, and people were worried about him. But in his mind, he was 30 odd years old again, and he was doing his beat as a bobby. That's what it was all about. So you do have to put your Sherlock Holmes head on to find out stories with us a lot of the time.
They do have to do research on the subject as part of their unit, so they...
Well, let's get the dementia team.
I think that's a must, yeah.
Help with the research, so I'm sure.
Is there a certain location you want us to perform this, like here or where you are?
Because we can bring audiences in here from
Yeah.
outside.
I think it's easier.
Easy to do,
Yeah, that's cool.
Is that the right answer?
Yeah.
But actually, well, no, because of the original conversation where they was talking about taking it into shops and things like that, and I'm not sure how, on the scale that we think it would lights and things like that.
I always say start small, and then, because if that, what I just saw for the last 4 minutes, I mean, you know, I've worked with this thing for about 12, 15 years now. To see that for the first time, I think people who have got less experience, when they see that, it is going to blow them away. So I think start small. Believe you me, word will get round. Word will get round. Yeah.
We were thinking of doing like a fundraising project as well to obviously to raise money for the cause, and we're going to do certain things like do a even bigger, like not even but like a production for our family to come watch, and then charge them for tickets and give the money to you guys, and then for like Halloween dress up, and if you dress up you give money, and like cake sales and money. So
All
just
these guys a year ago, yeah.
No, that's a really good idea, actually. Really good idea.
Yes, that's really.
Between us or the Alzheimer's Society.
Yeah.
Fundraising.
Yeah, Alzheimer's Society would never say no to that. So that would be
No.
good, yeah. And what we can do is promote the hell out of it for you. So make sure that, obviously, you can do your own promotion, but we'll make sure it's all over the Alzheimer's webpage, County Council web pages. I do a blog piece for Green Square, so I'll make sure it's around all the housing.
Well, would you want us to
associations.
make a poster and send it you or something? Or like a little design of something?
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah.
If we can get some local press. hopefully.
Well, with the citizen,
Yeah.
but it's an engineer, isn't it?
We need to raise some awareness of, one, dementia, but you guys as young people
Yeah.
putting this on is just incredible, and for such a powerful story to share.
And from a government point of view, it shows that brilliant bridge between youth and old, which is what they've been aiming for years. And for you guys to get it, because people my age who have come in at this for the first time, they just act like they're frightened all the time. Yeah. But that was very bold, you know. So I think that it would play well on so many different platforms.
Yeah, I'm also thinking how we keep the conversation going, because there's so much that, you know, people pull out different points of the stories, and how can we sort of, at the end of the performance, whether us or the Alzheimer's Society maybe have 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you want information, say behind the reception or the dining area or something like that, so we can keep the education going and the channels open to signpost people.
Yeah, well, we can certainly set, days of the performance. I mean, they're scheduled to do the first performances and have it ready by December.
Okay.
Nice Christmas play.
Maybe, yeah. Okay.
And so they're scheduled to have it done then. And this whole idea of it being a small group that gets taken around different scenarios and then goes, and then another one. So maybe if we schedule a day where we do several performances of it in a day, if there's somebody who wanted to come in and talk to people afterwards, that'd be good.
That's perfect. That was always my idea when we were going to on about doing it over 5, was have about that and then have the talk at the end. And have it, so that would be perfect.
So like a rotation of people who come out like in small groups and they could be talked to.
That's the way we were thinking it. I think originally we were looking at sort of as well getting schools involved, but we can come to that later on down where I think just getting people in. I think there will be a lot of carers and people who are just beginning to experience dementia for the first time, where this will be a very informative session, and when you see it right there in front of you, it's quite powerful, brings the message home.
Whenabouts do you want us to perform this, either this year or next year?
When do you think you'll be ready?
Tomorrow.
I mean, that's 24 hours worth. We'll see you on Monday,
Because they're not in like 2-3 days a week, aren't you? So, but they're scheduled to have a version of this ready for Christmas, so they can all get passed on the units.
Okay.
But they'll have it then ready to run whenever through the year, really.
I would think when you've got it ready for performance Christmas, maybe just have one group come in to have a look. So we'll get people like the Dementia Action Alliances, the Dementia Education team, get all the people, all the local dementia friends and all that, so they can come in and see it, have a look at it, and then roll it out maybe in the new year for people, people and their carers. But I don't know the Dementia Education Strategy team will go for this big time.
And I think is it May? May is Dementia Action Month for the UK, National Dementia Action Month.
So they could really...
that would be to run it until then would be.
And September's World Alzheimer's.
It's somewhat feasible because obviously they'll have other performances and things like that they've got to do through the year. But they'll definitely have, once that piece is made, it will be available to be done
September
again.
You've got World Alzheimer's Month as well, haven't you, as well? So, definitely, but well done. We'll certainly promoting this, and anything you need, shout, and we'll make sure we get it for you.
Fantastic. Anything else you need to know, you want to ask or say?
Is there any way to slow down this disease? To slow down? I mean,
there are some. There's some medication. Depends on the type of dementia. There's some medication that can manage some of the symptoms, but no, it's a
Aricept seems to be the main one, doesn't it? The problem you've got as well is sometimes you'll have, like in the case of my mum, she had Alzheimer's disease. She also had epilepsy, and so the Aricept would have actually made her have more seizures, so they couldn't give her the Aricept to slow it down, because it would have meant she'd been having seizures all the time. So it's not always possible, but I think that tends to be the main one, isn't it, Aricept? There are a couple of others, but that'll be the one you'll come across more than anything else, to be honest with you.
Super quiet.
Fire us some questions later.
Sure, if we think of anything, I'm sure they'll...
Whatever you know, drop us an email and we'll get back to you. Don't worry about that. Well, Alzheimer's is just a form of dementia. Dementia is your umbrella term, if you like. So dementia is about 300 different diseases, where Alzheimer's the number one dementia killer of the lot. So, it's a big one.
It's sometimes confusing, and I can remember the Alzheimer's Society having a whole debate because they call themselves the Alzheimer's Society, but actually they look after people with any type of dementia. It was very confusing for people. What is Alzheimer's? What is dementia?
And something like Alzheimer's, where it degenerates in the entire brain, you'll see a lot of what they call mixed dementias, where you'll see traits from other forms of dementia coming in because it's affecting that area of the brain. So that's one of the beauties of Alzheimer's. You get to see a lot, really.
Great, lovely. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. It really has been,